Hello everyone, welcome to Rainbow Infinity. Today I'll be reading Overlord-flinx's Can We Just Not Dance on Tuesdays? If you like the reading, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please enjoy. Seriously. Equestria is a beautiful crown placed upon the world as a blessing, and Ponyville is its crown jewel, or maybe the feather in its cap if you wanted to be more whimsical. Which would be more appropriate, because if Ponyville is anything, it's whimsical. It's a town with so much whimsy, it's hard not to be taken in by all the good cheer or constant joy. Especially when they sing. Boy, do they sing. Sing in the streets, sing in the stalls, sing at 9 at night. All with the most elaborate dances and surprisingly unprovoked, yet well choreographed routines sometimes. It's all so wonderful. In small doses, preferably. If there was one thing you could rely on the Princess of Friendship to do, it was to lend a caring ear to a friend in need. Especially when that friend went through all the proper channels to file a summons and request a clear audience. It wasn't really necessary, but Twilight did love a little bureaucracy, something Princess Luna turned her onto all the more. Starlight Glimmer went through all the trouble to put together every form, document, and file to get an official audience, even roping Spike into looking up what documents she'd need for this. It seemed only right to reward that sort of can-do spirit. Even if Twilight wasn't her teacher anymore, there was still a well of pride she felt when she saw Starlight give it her all. Really brought a tear to the eye. So, Starlight. Twilight mustered her most professional tone while she settled into her seat at the table. To what do I owe this very official request? It felt a little silly to go through all of this, especially since just yesterday they were flank to flank fighting a pudding demon summoned by Celestia knows who. Right, so. Starlight tensed for a moment, not exactly looking forward to what needed to be done. You know I love how upbeat everyone is in Ponyville. A lie, but okay. And nobody enjoys coordination like I do. Not what you want to hear from a reformed cult leader, but sure. But... In a flash, Starlight poofed into existence an extensive chartboard. Looking it over, Twilight saw what seemed at first to be nonsense and rambling notes. What did raising barns and hearth-swarming Eve have to do with each other? There were also notes about a griffin hijacking a baseball game and kidnapping a grandma. But despite the odd collection of news clippings and written notes, it all seemed pretty well organized. What questions or skepticism Twilight might have had would have to wait. Curiosity was starting to lead the way on this one. What I have here is a chart. That's, obviously. Starlight started to burn at the collar, still not entirely set on her plan, but it was too late to back out. The chart was already pulled out. You can't back out when the board's out. Looking over her chart, her nerves loosened and a long, exhausted groan escaped her. Twilight, I'm going to keep it straight with you. The songs and dances have got to stop. Twilight sat there waiting for the rest of the joke, but it never came. What? I don't mean entirely. We can still do them, but can we, schedule them? A stretch of paper gently plucked its way off from the board with Starlight's magic and drifted over to Twilight's befuddled face. I crunched the numbers a bit, and I figured that the one day a week we desperately need to cut back on is Tuesdays. That's when we have the most ponies come in from out of town. And we're scaring them. Twilight scanned over the list in disbelief, completely unable to comprehend what she was hearing and seeing. For one, this was a very well-put-together itemized list of times and market data. If she knew Starlight was this good with numbers, she would have had her running the school's budget years ago. But that was beside the point. For now. Wait, why are you telling me this? If you don't have a problem with it, I don't know if ponies think I'm like your secretary or something, but for a few months now I've had them come up to me and speak on their behalf. She looked exhausted explaining the situation. Apparently, when they would ask the mayor, she told them singing and dancing is more of a princess job, and she deals with administration. Law and order gets a little confusing when your government office sits in the shadow of a massive crystalline castle, especially when that castle is in the shadow of an even bigger castle up on top of the mountain. Pony bureaucracy was confusing at times, but untangling the messy network of their system would have to wait. I guess that makes sense. Still, I don't think it's that Starlight quickly cut in with a ruffling of a paper to read and a sharp clear of her throat. On 3 separate occasions last year, the whole Market Street had to be closed down for large sweeping musical numbers. Pfft, that's not so bad. Those are just for rarity. Twilight tightened her lip and just sat back. I have about 12 complaints about the last heartswarming. Something about closing down the street for personal caroling. Okay, it's heartswarming. Everyone's caroling. That one was outlandish. Who's making these complaints? I'm not at liberty to say that, Twilight. You know how these anonymous complaints go. She quickly rolled the list up and poofed it from existence with a low groan. Listen, I'm just asking that we at least consider not having any dancing or singing on Tuesdays. Can we at least think about it? For a somber moment, Twilight sat back into her chair and considered the question. It wasn't completely unreasonable. Still, there was something nagging at her about it. It was Trixie, wasn't it? She just wants Tuesdays, Twilight. Please! She won't leave me alone! Thank you for listening in. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Until next time, stay tuned.